Hey, happy Saturday. Um, I'm going to come to you for a few minutes and talk about something that was on my heart here recently. On this Saturday, we just learned President Trump yesterday and First Lady Melania Trump came down with coronavirus. And along with a number of senators and leaders, and there is talk a lot about this, and a lot of people are now showing appropriately sympathy, empathy, prayers for the Trumps. And these are people who were not, let me say that again. A number of these people really were almost ugly in the way they treated President Trump. Now, I'm not justifying him or his behavior one way or the other. What I am saying is that there have been some very harsh debate and words said during this presidency. We have the riots, and I've spoken about these before, people that are just fighting against the police, deliberately hurting others and our government. And it reminded me of a passage in Romans. This is what I was looking at, was in Romans chapter 13, verses 1 through 6. And I want to read this to you. Paul talks about government. Now, the letter of Romans is kind of a message that he would have given the Roman Christians there. This is written to Roman Christians had he come in person. And there's one little passage in 12 and 13 where Paul talks about the Christian's conduct, the Christian's behavior, Christians should behave in love. And then in 13 verse 1, he goes on this little aside, and it says here, it talks about government. He says, every person must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you. The authorities are God's servants sent for your good, but if you are doing wrong, of course you should be afraid, for they have the power to punish you. They are God's servants sent for the very purpose of punishing those who do what is wrong. So you must submit to them, not only to avoid punishment, but also to keep a clear conscience. A lot of debate has gone on about this little passage. How do we submit to governing authorities? And I think in my mind, Nazi Germany, Islamic republics, some Islamic republics. How does this work out if you're a Christian? And what should we do as a Christian? Because I thought God was the head of this. So in a nutshell, I want to share with you, in a nutshell, what this is saying is show respect for what God has put over us. See, in the U.S., we have the right of protest, the right of assembly, the right to have our grievances redressed. This is very American. So in America, we have the right to disagree with our authorities and petition for change for things that go contrary to our beliefs. But we respect those above us. One of the analogies that comes up is a husband-wife. There are a lot of images, and I talked a little about this Wednesday, a lot of images and a lot of analogies between God, church, husband, wife, and that the husband is the head of the wife, the authority, if you will. Another controversial statement. Do husbands do wrong? Of course. I don't need to say any more. Do wives have to follow? Of course not. But does this mean that wives disrespect the authority placed in the husband? No. And this is what the gist of this passage talks about. God ordained these governments. God knew what he was doing when he put these governments in for these times. And we have to show respect for the authorities. It doesn't mean we have to follow and lay down for all they say. But we do have to respect that they are there over us. I hope this is clear. I just want to go through this. Romans chapter 13, 1 through 6. A little talk on God's civil government and authority over us and our role. Where does it fit into our Christian lifestyle? Any comments? Let me know. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at FL Compass Church. And as always, you can write me at www.flcompasschurch.org. Guys, let me know what you think about this. This is a tough concept, and maybe I'll do a series, if there are enough comments, to kind of break this out of what all this government authorities, God's authority, and our role as a Christian. Where does all this stuff fit together? How do we make sense of this? Have a fantastic week. And check back with us Wednesday. I'm readdressing a question that came up last Wednesday. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy Sunday, and we'll see you Wednesday.